that is a story that we have all over Latin America and other countries in the world. And there's a reason why. It's a lot easier to deal with dictators than it is to deal with democracy. We love to claim democracy at home, but we don't particularly like democracies overseas. And the reason we don't like democracies overseas is if we want to be able to, our corporations to do certain things on a plantation in Costa Rica, if we want to able to do something on a plantation or on a mountain top in Honduras, we don't want to have the people voting for that. It takes too much time for a corporation to do that. So we want to have a dictator that can enforce that. A quick story that you're causing me to talk about is what's occurring right now in Honduras. Honduras is being sued by American companies right now because the previous government signed a contract that in effect allowed companies to establish mini governments in Honduras, where they control a particular territory with their own judiciary and all these sort of things, right? But they want to go ahead and create these business zones in Honduras. A democratic establishment comes in now. Government comes in and say, wait a minute, you are selling our sovereignty to private American corporations or private corporations in general. We can't have that. This contract is null and void. So they're being sued for 2/3 of their GDP. That you don't hear about that in the news over here in the United States, right? You don't hear about that kind of a stuff going on. So when we go to certain countries and hear, oh, they don't like us over there. It's not that they don't like Americans. It's that they don't like what corporations have come to the country and do to many of their people, many of them peasants. So that's the issue, sir.
So to summarize, you hit it out of the ballpark once again. I am not surprised.
Johnny,
the bottom line here, the American corporations dictate our foreign policy. They always have, and I'm afraid they always will, unless we rise up in our way, the way they did with Fidel.
Thank you, Johnny. Beforehand, let me just throw it back to the studio.
Jack has some observations too.
Come on in, brother Jack.
Why does business prefer to do business with dictators? Is they can pay them a lot of money, and they do the work of suppressing the people in the country. And we go down there with our embargoes, our blockades, and our sanctions, and wall off the country. And they're paying out, to solve their lawsuits with while they're taking their GDP away, and the people suffer. They end up having to pay taxes to run the country, and this ties into why immigration is moving north. They're driving them north with poverty.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, Jack, and that is, a lot of what we're seeing at our border is a direct result of our policies in Central America. So, but we as Americans, when we watch the news, we don't see all this news. I gave you the story about what's occurring in Honduras right now. Nobody talked about that here in the United States. So the American people can't understand then what's the genesis of that. So then the Republicans can demagogue about immigration, and and Democrats, because nobody is interested in learning these other stories, just take it, or they just they don't give the full argument. And as I say quite often, that too often our politicians, all of them, left and right, they think too little of the intelligence of the American people. If the American people are made aware of things, we would have much better policy. We'd have much better politicians, and that's probably why they don't want the Americans to know too much, because, hey, we may start voting in good politicians, and that's not a good thing, because while we are a democracy, while corporations allow us to be a democracy for certain things, remember, a corporation is not a democracy. It's a top-down thing where the lowest level, the employees, the antiseptic slaves, are nothing but widgets, and everything else is then made on the executive level. It's not like, let's say, in places like, let's say, Germany, where sitting on the board of corporations by law, you have to have the worker. It's not there. So, we have to understand those things. Howard Reynolds, come on in, my brother.
I've got a question for you about the Honduras thing.
Yes.
What court is going to decide that? Is it going to be a United States court, a world court, a third country? Who decides that?
I think they have their own courts. Folks, I'm asking you so kindly right now to please support the program, ensure that we can continue to have a platform to give the word to the American people, give the word to talk about what we can do together as a society. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.